Hello everyone, welcome to the next video of Android course practical series. So in the last video we looked related to themes that we completed over here. So now the next part what we need to do is in the first page we have to create a login button, a login page. So how do we design that? Just we will take one overview over here. Okay. So considering it as a login screen, so the layout which will we be using over here is the relative layout, and considering it as a mobile screen, at the top we require is login, a text. Below that we require a input that states that user will enter username. Below that we will have an input that states the user will enter a password, and a button below it which has a text as login. So the first element that we will require is relative layout, because the parent layout over here will be relative. Below that, to display message on this, to display a text on the screen, we will require is text view. To take input from the user, we will require is edit text, and a button will state button, right? So these four elements we will require over here. So let's proceed with the code. So here we will move to split code, and currently the layout, parent layout is constraint layout, so we will change it to relative layout over here. So the best part in Android is that we don't have to type anything, everything comes from suggestion, right? So the first part that we will do over here is the text to display, that is login. So to display that we will use text view. The width of the text would be match parent, and the height will be wrap content. So it will only the height will only take the HMS as the text appears. So as we can see over here, we will guess this as an ID, that is main file name, text view, that is the name of the tag, and the heading. Now we will give this a text, that is login, right? As we can see, it is tick at the top. So what we will do is we will have a margin top of 40 dp. Instead, what we can do is from the themes we can just directly add that status action bar at the top. So we don't require this margin top over here, but just for an example, we will have a look at margin top. And from the left, right, what we will do is we will have a margin of 10 dp, left, right, and bottom. So from the blueprint over here, as we can see, so 10 dp size over here, 10 dp size over here, and from the top it is 40. Just because no element is there below over here, we will not be able to see the bottom. Next, what we want to do is we want to make this text appear at the center. So we will write text alignment center. Make this text a bit more bigger. So we will write text size as 20. So now the text is more bigger over here, right? So now the next part that we want to do over here is take the first type of input, that is username. So here we will write edit text. Now the width of this will be match parent and height will be wrap content. Okay, and the next we will close is the tag and give this an ID. So the pattern will be seen. Okay, now as we can see, this particular input is above the login. Now we want to make this input below the login. So for that, what we will do is here we will write below of whom the heading. So as we can see, it has automatically come below the login. Now we will give margin over here, that is 10 dp. Okay, So it has automatically shrinked, and as we can see over here, it is stating 10. So that margin that is 10, it has displayed over here, right, in the blue part. Now the next, we want to give user the hint that what they have to type. So here we will write enter username, right? And when the user is typing, so here we have to write input type and give the user as text. So the keyboard type which will be appeared over here will be single line, multi-line. So there are options for single line and multi-line also. So it would be better if we give the user single type. Like now the next part is password. Okay. So here we take edit text. The width will be match parent, height will be wrap content. We close the tag, we go up. Here we type ID and give it an ID that is main underscore edit text underscore password. Now again, we have to place this password below username. So again, we will write below of whom the username. Give it margin of 10 dp. Give it hint so that user understands what they have to type over here. Password. Now we have to change the input type to text password. Because when the user is typing a password, it should not be visible on the screen what the user is typing. Right? So here we have done with the login, the username and the password. Right? And now the last one is the button. So here we will write button. The width will be match parent and the height will again be match parent, because if we take the width as match parent, then what it will do is it will stretch the whole button to the end, but we don't want that. So we'll just take it, wrap content, close the tag, give the ID over here, that is main underscore button underscore login. Now we want this button to be appear below password, so we will write below the password, give the text over here as login. Now what we want is we want to make this button at the center over here. We don't want the text to appear at the center, but we want the button tag at the center. So in relative layout, to shift the button at the center or any tag widget at the center, we have to write center horizontal true. So it has shifted our button at the center, right? Now this is just the UI part of it, but what if you want to perform the button click over here? So for that we have to go to the Java file main activity, right? Over here, what we have to do is we have to declare the variables. Okay, and also we have to tell that we will get input from this, we will get input from this, and this button will be clicked. So we have to tell that also. So from which data type will the value come is edit text. Okay, so edit text is the data type from where we will get the data, right? So here we will give it a variable that is main underscore edit text underscore username, and the second variable for password, right? These are the two variables from where we will get the input. Next is the button. Main underscore button underscore login. First of all, there is no dependency that the name over here and the name over here should match. It can be anything, but just for our better understanding that what tag we are using, we have given the same name so that there is no miscommunication, misunderstanding to where and how the variables are getting used. Now the next, after extracting the values from these two fields, we have to store that particular value somewhere. So here we will give one variable that is username and password, so that when we extract the username and password from these inputs, we can store it in this. Now next, here we have just declared the variables. Now we want to tell the compiler that this username is associated with this username. This password is associated with this password, and the button over here is associated with this button. We have to tell that. So for that, after the view compact method below, we will write that this username equal to find view by ID. So what does find view by ID do is, it will fetch this particular ID from here, right? So here we will write r.id.username. We will select. Now for the password again, and button the same. If we don't do this much, what will happen is the Java compiler tells that whatever we are fetching is of undefined data type. Here, just because we haven't defined any data type, it will say that we are using a null reference to whatever we are doing. So now how we can fetch the values after the button click has been done? So what we will do is, we will make the button get executed over here. So we have copied the variable of button. Now what we have to do is, we have to set the onClick method for it. So onClick listener. After that, new view.onClick listener. See, these are the basic syntax that we need to follow compulsory when we talk about this. So here the button click action has been performed successfully. Now what we want is, we want to extract the values from this username and password and store it inside this username and password. What we will do is, here we will write username equal to, and from this username we want to get the value dot get text dot toString, and we can do trim. So what will trim do is, it will remove the extra spaces that is not required. Underscore main dot password dot get text dot toString dot trim. So now here we have successfully fetched the values from the input. Now we can do the validation check and display some error if we want to display error on the screen. So let's do that. So first we will check for the username, that if the username dot length is less than equal to 0, and if the username is empty. So we will display some error. If the password length is less than equal to 0 and password, if it is empty, then we have to display some error. If the password length is greater than 0, but the password length is less than it, then again we have to display an error indicating that the password should be minimum of 8 characters. So if all the situations are ignored, then the last will be that our message means the username and password validations are successful. So to display an error, so we cannot display an error on the username variable over here. We need to display the error from where we are getting the username. So this, here we have to set error, and we have to type the message, please enter username. And not by just entering the username, it will not achieve our situation. So we will set focus on it, so that the user should identify where the error exactly is. Just displaying the error is not, but where that error has been occurred, that is more important. Again, for the password, we will do again the same, that we will set an error and please enter password. Okay, and we will again shift the focus of the user to this password part. Okay, and same for the length part. Set error, password should be minimum 8 digits. and again set the focus over there. If everything is perfectly fine, then we can just, for an intimation, give a toast message over here that validations are successful, so that just for our current time period we will be able to understand that all the validations are successful, right? And everything is going perfectly. So till now what we have done is we have created this UI layout with relative layout as the parent, text view to display the message, edit text to take input from the user, the username, again edit text to get the password as the input from the user, and the button so that the user can click. After that, we have declared the variables over here to edit text, one button and two strings, so that after taking input from the user, we can store that values inside two variables. After that, we have done is we have assigned the edit text to the incoming from where we have to fetch that value. Same for the remaining two. And after that, the button click. So once the user clicks on the button, we fetch both the values. We check whether the username is not empty, the password is not empty, the password should contain minimum 8 digits, 8 characters we will write over here instead of 8 digits. And if everything is okay, then we just display a message that validations are successful. Now we will run this application. Before running the application, in the last video we changed the main layout, so here we will again change the main layout and switch it to main activity. So now we will run the program and check the output of it. If there are minimal changes in the code, then the compiler doesn't take time to build the gradle, right? Okay, so here exactly the screen that we have built over here is displayed over here. We'll close this manifest, we'll close this Java. So exactly the screen that we have built over here is displayed over here, and the UI which we designed over here is exactly same over here. So now before doing anything, what we will do is we will just click on the login button. See, first the part is that the error message has been displayed over here and the focus is on the username. Now we write something over here and we shift the focus to button. We click over here, so it displays and please enter password. If we write any password, that see over here the password is that it is not getting displayed on the screen, right? So we click on login. So here it states that password should be minimum 8 characters, and if the password is more than 8 characters and we click on login, then the toast message displays over here that validations are successful. So if we don't write a username, it will show an error. If we don't write a password, it will show an error. If the password is less than 8 characters, it will display an error. And if everything is successful, then it will display validations are successful. So that's all from this video. Thank you.